Get started with exercise 112, Visualizing Global Connections from the QGIS Map Design book. So we're going to start out by bringing in two layers, the 1 to 110 million countries layer, and then the which comes from the natural earth data, and then from the miscellaneous folder, global geopackage, the global connected cities also comes in. So the first, we want to make a map that that looks like this. That looks like this. And so we can do a couple of simple steps to get that started. The first is that we're going to define a new map projection. And the way that we do that is under Settings and a Custom Projection. And then we want to add a new projection. And this is going to be an orthographic projection, so I'll just call it Orthograph 1. And the way that we're going to define it is from the QGIS Map Design book. And this is the this is how the projection is defined. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in here. Say OK. Nothing happens, but then when I go under Project Properties and I look at my coordinate reference system, if I start to type in Orthograph 1 comes up, I'm going to select that, say OK, and then it gives me a map projection more similar to what's in the book. The other thing I want to do under the entire project properties is I want to set the background color to black, which I would do right here. Okay, so we have our countries. We have our cities that are going to be connected. One thing they don't mention in the book is that the lines of connection also come in. And this is really all you have to do. You just have to bring that in, bring it there, and then it'll show your lines of connection. And of course, you want to restyle those in order to make them look more like on page 86 of your textbook. And you also, of course, want to label your cities. But let's talk about this whole kind of glowy globe thing, because that can be a somewhat confusing part. So for this, you're actually going to make a new layer. So I'm going to create a new geopackage. I'm going to put it in, I'll call Glow2. And I'll put it in projects as it's indicated. For the geometry, it should be points. And the coordinate reference system I want is that orthographic one that I just projected into. And I'm going to say OK here. So I've just generated an empty geopackage. If I wanted to show how many features it has in it, it has 0. I'm going to add a feature by editing it and adding a point. This point can go anywhere. I'm just going to put it over Rome because that's where this is centered, but it can be anywhere because we're going to define that later. And now I have this glow 2. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change how this is displayed. I go under Glow 2. I'm going to use a marker, but I'm going to change the color to dark blue. Say OK. And instead of a simple marker, I'm going to use the geometry generator. So from this list here, I'm going to pull down the geometry generator. I'm going to go into the textbook, copy and paste this. Say OK. And I'm just going to say apply at this point. And now we can see that we have a big blue circle over our area here. It's not exactly what we want. The next thing we want to do is go under Fill and then Shape Fill. And instead of a simple fill here, we're going to set that to a Shape Burst Fill. The outer color is going to be a dark blue, and they suggest making the inner color kind of a medium blue. You can play around with that as much as you would like. And then let's just say, and then I think the distance was 35, but once again, you can play around with that as much as you like and say OK. And now it kind of gives us this glow here. If I move it down to the bottom, our countries are still an ugly red color, but we can kind of see we're getting a 3D effect. But the other thing we want to do is add a glow to the outside. So if I go back into there, into Glow 2, and I get down to the Shape Burst Fill once again, there's two draw effects. We do not want this one. That'll be the draw effect on this, but we want to go under the layer rendering, and we want to check on draw effects here, and then go press the star over here. You can see that we've already set something for the source. Now we're going to set something for the outer glow. is going to be a light blue color. And once again, you can play with this. This is just how big the glow is going to be, but we can set this to something like 7 and 2. And then I'm going to say OK here, and then apply. And then that just gives our globe an outer glow. So then the remaining things to do will be change the symbology for the countries, maybe make them a dark blue or some other color, like on the map. Your global connections, you can make those a whitish line if you want to. You can change the width. And if you want to get fancy, you could also put on some sort of draw effect, like an outer glow. And maybe you make that color something like a light yellow. And you can play around with those properties there, but you will want to label your cities. You want to make your countries look nice, and you want to have everything looking good for this one.